Hey, my name is Sean. Welcome to Echoes in Eternity Bourbon. Have you ever just had an insane 24 hours?
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
So, that's one of the best things that I love about, not only bourbon hunting, but the friendship and the fellowship is you can just look back at a 24-hour period and you can go, what in the world just happened? And that is the coolest part about it. Starting in this video, I'm so excited. John Core, you were the winner for the two VDN cast orange finishes. There's the Starlight and then there's the Penelope. So Valencia. John, you were the winner for that. Please reach out to me, echoesineternitybourbon@gmail.com, so we can set up the logistics for that. So you've won a couple pours there. I'm figuring I'm going to do another one for next Sunday. So this will be for the Larceny A124, Elijah Craig A124. In the video, I'll put, there's a key phrase that you have to put somewhere in the comments of this video. So next Sunday, I can draw a winner for that. Must be a member, must be a member of the channel, must like the video, must comment the video with the key phrase. Also, ooh, a puppy dog running by. Also, must be 21, continental U.S., things like that. It's so important for logistics to make sure that I can make sure we get that in your hands. But yesterday was the Alabama allocated bourbon drop. And some of the stuff that they drop may not be allocated everywhere, but in the state of Alabama, it is. The way the state of Alabama works is that, basically it's a first come, first serve, unless it's a quarterly lottery. Next month will be the quarterly lottery. Hopefully I'll get a number for that. I have not got a number for any of the quarterlies yet. But you basically, we get there, whatever time we get there, there's a list, it's all very nice and very cool the way they do it. You put your name on the list, you hang out there, you talk with people, you meet new friends, talk with old friends, swap out some stuff, which occurred yesterday a lot, so which is cool. And then when they open up the store, you can pick two bottles, not of the same kind, and sometimes they have minis, then you can pick up a couple of minis as well. So it's neat, but the best part about it is since it's state controlled, you get to pay basically retail MSRP on those, which is nice too. So you're not getting jacked up on certain prices. So yesterday went, got to meet and hang out with some great people out there yesterday. Got to hang out with Dan Shirey a little bit yesterday, which was awesome too. He was able to pick up a bottle for another Dan that's a member of the channel as well. And I'll get into that a little bit later as we go into it. But first I'd like to kind of get into, these are the bottles that I got at the allocated bourbon drop. And then I'd kind of like to talk about a trade that occurred Friday night. This is Sunday morning, so this was from Friday to Saturday. So I'm doing this Sunday morning. And so I want to talk about a trade, and then I also like to talk about some bottles that I got for people and a bottle that someone got for me, which I'm so appreciative of. On top of a slew of samples, I got 26 different samples yesterday for people. I gave out some samples, but I tell you guys, as much as I think I give, you guys always give so much more, and I'm so very appreciative of it. But let's get into what I got at the Alabama Bourbon Drop yesterday. One of these bottles is actually a representation because I picked it up for another person. But I went to a bourbon share yesterday after the bourbon drop at McIntosh. It's a park, state park camping and stuff like that. Beautiful place. But when I was going out there to meet Tanya and John Votts, they're members of Bourbon and Banner with me. That little box stay there. But she had mentioned, hey, I'm looking for the A124. And I said, well, I think they're doing it at the bourbon drop. So I confirmed it that morning. Yeah, they'll have how many bottles they'll have there. So I was like, you know what? I know that I'm going to pick up one other bottle, but just because I know I have friends that like it as gifts. It's a great trade bottle if I'm not giving away a gift at that time, or maybe giving it as a gift to the channel to give away in the future. But I said, you know what, I'll get this for Tanya. Tanya's always done so many good things for me. Her and her husband are always so gracious. I've had a chance to hang out a couple of times with them, for bourbon shares and stuff like that. Met some amazing new people yesterday. Got to hang out with some people I met before. A couple of us are in a group called Bourbon and Banner. And so myself, another Sean, and Tanya, we got to talk a little bit about that. Got to talk about maybe doing some stuff in the future. Looking forward to that. The Kentucky Bourbon Festival. We're talking about that. So we'll see how that goes. I'd love to get a ticket and I'd love to go hang out with a group of people and just go have a great time that week. But our Larceny A1 arson. Wow, my language is avoiding me this morning. The Larceny A124 was the bottle that I picked up for Tanya. Now I'd also picked up a bottle of this for myself at the Class 6 with Chris last weekend. But she said, "Hey, I'm interested in getting one of those." So I picked up a bottle for her. She's also getting a couple of cool bottles for me that she was part of a pick on. So if you haven't checked out Tanya Watts, she's Bourbon Baroness on Instagram. She was part of the Bourbon and Banner pick for a couple of Four Roses. Well, for some Four Roses, I'm getting a couple of bottles of that. So I'm excited about that because Tanya's got a fantastic palate. So this was the first bottle that got at the Alabama Bourbon Drop yesterday. I brought her bottle, and I brought mine unopened, and we actually cracked the one that I had there, so people had the opportunity to check it out while there. I brought like 8 other things too, because you can never have enough bourbon in your trunk when you go places. But we had a great time. But I'll get a little bit more into that in a little bit. So the first one was the Larceny A124. The next one was, I'll go with the minis first. Blanton's minis. I mean, you can't get enough Blanton's minis. I don't care how many of these little hand grenades I have back behind me. You just can't get enough of these because they are great, great gifts for people. For people that like bourbon and people that like to have neat little setups on their bars. You're allowed to get 2 of these while you're there. I was able to get a couple of these. I was early enough in line. Very excited about that. The one thing that was a little bit disappointing is on the list yesterday, they showed that location had 48 Blantons. And so a lot of people were excited about they were going to get a Blanton's. Only 24 were there. So Alabama, you got to do better there. The last bottle I picked up is a tater bottle, but that's okay, and that's a Blanton's. I mean, they make great gifts. They're good bourbon. It's not something that I would pay, $100 or more for, but, right at $55, $56, yeah, it's a great bottle to have. It's a great gift. I've got a friend that's been looking for one for his wife, and I said, yeah, I'm there, and, the best part about honey is sometimes it's not just for you. Sometimes it's for other people. So, this bottle here, I was actually picking up for a friend. So excited about that. Like I said, I went and I got 2 bottles for friends, and I got some minis for myself, which will probably be gifted out too. But it's that giving thing, because you guys are such a giving community. I like to try to give back in any little way that I can. You guys are absolutely amazing. I'm putting my coffee over the side. So that's what comes from the Bourbon Drop. So I was also able to, why I was at the Bourbon Drop, Dan got me 4 great samples, and Dan cracked into the Bardstown and the Green River yesterday. Both are fantastic. I think I like the Bardstown a little bit more, but that's not putting any shade on that Greenstown, on that Green River. I'm sorry, on that Green River at all. That Green River was fantastic. Thank you for that. Still have your other 2 that I'm going to crack into. Of course, March will be March Madness. So when I go into March Madness, I'm going to be doing 30 different sample pours let me do a sample pour each day, either in long format or short format, from people that given me samples. And there's a lot of them, and I'm behind. So I said, you know what a great way to do that. So since we're talking about March Madness a little bit, why not talk about, if you want that Larceny A124 sample and that Elijah Craig A124 sample, put March Madness in the comments. I mean, I figure that would be an easy way to do it. So looking forward to March Madness, looking forward to a lot of these samples that I fell behind a bit on. A lot of that was at Christmas time. I had to make sure I was able to take care of my dad. He had taken a fall, and I really couldn't drink, because I was there every 3 to 4 hours. And I'm like, you've got to be responsible, take care of family first, which, you guys are all the same way. And I absolutely love that about you. But let me get into a bottle that I was able to trade for. So Dan, he's was sending me some pictures, and I told him, I said, I'm looking for this bottle for another Dan who's a member of the channel. And he says, when I find it, I'll let you know. And he went to a local store, Tap House, which, it's probably about an hour and a half from me, but he happened to be in the area, and he happened to talk to the owner there. He says, have you seen any of this? And he pulled out a bottle. And so I was able to pick this up from Dan while we were there at the Bourbon Drop together. I got him a couple of pours. Of course, he got me more. So I'm like, golly, hopefully he enjoyed the pours I got him. But he was able to pick this up. And so I've got this now for our other Dan. And so I'm excited about that we've got a bottle that I can get to a friend. And that's the fun part about hunting. So far, all three of the bottles so far are for other people. But that's kind of the fun part, though, is trying to get other people's stuff that maybe they can't get or they don't see in their area, or they've just had a really hard time, and maybe you have that opportunity. And talking about one of those bottles that you just kind of had an opportunity for another friend, man, Master Pick 15. I'm telling you, people have slept on this and slept on this and slept on this, but this is such a good bottle. I am a big fan of their stuff. It's MGP juice. Anytime you get MGP in that 15-year range, it's like it just becomes magical. And people have slept on this. It's, it's $100+ bottle. But it's, when you get these, they're at 120 plus proof. They're 15-year MGP juice. Now, some of them aren't Indiana. Some of them are Kentucky. Some of them actually on the back are mislabeled because when they were at Prime, they didn't have the right bottles. So you need to make sure you understand what's what. But even the Kentucky stuff, I think they're outstanding. Was able to get this for a friend on Friday night. He had asked about it. He had had some samples from another member of this channel. So a couple of members of this channel had found a way to get some samples, and they tried them out, and he was like, man, I really, really like this. And so he was able to get this from me, via somebody else that he had tried to sample from. And I just think that that's cool. I love that sharing nature that you all have. I think it's absolutely amazing. And just absolutely makes my day. So I'm gonna get this to my buddy. I'm excited about this for him, and it's like, man, I get just as excited when I find something. Probably more excited when I find it and I'm getting it for somebody else, because I know that that's an experience for them, and I think that that's really cool. You talk about people giving amazing experiences. Oh, man, Dave Vogel saying, I had got some samples from Dark Arts just last week, and I've still got more videos to do on that. I thought all three of the samples were killer. I thought that they do a great job. They do not distill anything. They just buy other people's stuff and they make it better. And anything that I've tasted, these three samples, and I've tasted them all, they are fantastic. They do a great job on their stuff. Dave knows that I'm a rye person and Amburana finish, and they have a rye Amburana that I am just in love with. And he found a bottle for me because it's not local in our area yet, and he hunted for me, Dave, and gifted me. And Dave, thank you so much. On top of this, he sends me so many awesome samples. I got 12 samples. Thank you so very, very much for that. I just think that that's amazing. Like I said, I like to hunt for people and give stuff, but when people give stuff to me, I feel like this overwhelming, like, man, what can I do for them? What can I do for them? So I'm looking for something special for Dave, and when I find it, I'm going to be excited to put it in his hands. I know what I want to find. It's just a matter of, can I find it? But Dave, thank you so much for being such an awesome member of this channel and a friend. And Dave is the ultimate bourbon hunter. I mean, he hunts like there's no one's business. I think that he probably needs to start owning or buying a shelving company for as much shelving as he's invested in lately. He might be able to save himself a little money there. And then there was a bourbon trade Friday night. And that's one thing I really like. I actually was at, the allocated bourbon drop, and I was talking to a couple of guys about a couple of bottles that I'm looking to trade for, and they're like, yeah, shoot me what you got open for trade. So I'll be working on something else for trade. But I had a gentleman, and he'd been really looking for the Crown Royal XR LaSalle, and I was like, okay, I've got one of these that, I had got through a point system, and I'm like, but I don't know if I was wanting to crack it. I like Crown. I think it's good, but I've been into heavier proof stuff. I knew it was discontinued, and I figured, what, this may have a better home for somebody. So we talked about it and stuff, and he was able to find a few bottles that he was like, hey, this be a good trade for you? I'm like, heck yeah, that'd be a good trade for me. So, I got not one, but two Elijah Craig C923s. Now, yeah, these are the 22As, but, they still drink good to me, and I'm excited about it. Plus, I've got a bottle that's open, so now I have two backups, which gives me flexibility. Now I can trade, or I can hold on to them, or just drink them at my leisure in my retirement, because it's going to take me a long time to drink all the bourbon that I have. But they're not going anywhere. They're not going bad. But it gives you some flexibility. If you find a bottle that you're really after, maybe you can use that as part of that bartering system, and trade off on that. So really, really excited to have a couple of these Elijah Craig C923s. Man, I need a bigger desk. And part of that trade also was another Blanton's. Like I said, Blanton's make great gifts. They're iconic on anyone's bar. They're also great for trading. If you find somebody that maybe has something that you don't in your immediate area, that you can travel to and say, hey, I want to trade this out. So maybe you can add something to your bar. So I was able to pick up, a couple Blantons this weekend. I picked up the Larceny A124 for a friend, the Master Pick, this Dark Arts, the Amber on a Rye, the Penelope over here, the Valencia, a couple of the Elijah Craigs, and then a couple of the little mini ponies, which are very cool too. So I was excited about that, and it was just a great weekend. But the best part is like I said, I got to hang out with people. I think that's so underrated, just the socialization, just the hanging out thing. The week before I got to hang out with Chris at his place. He invited me to his house. We had some pours. We got some talks. This weekend I got to hang out at the Bourbon Drop, catch up with a bunch of people there that you don't see all the time, but maybe once a month. I hadn't seen a couple people for a few months, and just get to talk and hang out. And then I got to go out to, hang out at a bourbon share, meet some amazing people, talk with some people, that, were in different groups together and stuff, share some pours, Tanya, Tanya got me like a 6-pack of pours. Sean got me a 6-pack of pours, and I had 4 different people give me some amazing pours. And, I'm like, golly, it's just overwhelming, the generosity. And I truly, truly appreciate it. And man, we're almost at 2,000 members. And I'm saying, if you haven't joined yet, you might want to join, because the way the numbers are running, about 10 days to 2 weeks from now, we'll be at 2,000. And there's a big giveaway for 2,000. There's a Stag Junior in there. There is another C923. So there's 3 C923s up on the table here, but one of them for the giveaway. There's the Four Roses store pick. Those first 3 bottles were all donated too from other members of this channel. Now the Stag I used a point system for to get, but there was someone that donated some money, said, hey, I want to help with this. Awesome. I got an Eagle Rare that was donated over here. I've got the 2XO that was donated over here. There's an old Overholt 114, which is a really good rye for, and I was like, man, you don't see them all the time, that was donated. There's a Buffalo Trace 1 liter. There's the Longhorn, and that's the Knob Creek Longhorn, which is a 100 proofer that they make just for Longhorn, that every once in a while we can get in the state of Alabama, which is cool. There's going to be a great sample pack with that. Man, there's a lot of great things going on. And it's cool because, I not only get to get stuff for other people, and you guys get stuff for me, but you guys get stuff to each other. You're like, hey, I don't know who's going to win this, but I want to put something in for somebody else, just to kind of give it forward a little bit, to say, hey, maybe someone, maybe you'll win a nice pour that you don't have in your area, or maybe, you'll get something that you can share with other people that you can build memories with, which is basically what bourbon is. It brings you together so you can, it's a facilitator. It brings people together so they can talk, and so they can open up, they can share life experiences. Some of them may be something they're having some trouble with. Some of the stuff maybe just to get a good laugh out of. But you build memories with it. And I had someone say something very poignant to me yesterday, and it just really meant a lot. I was at the bourbon drop, and he says, he says, the one thing I like that you do is, he says, you bring God into this a lot. And I know I don't want to get too preachy, but it's Sunday morning, and it's, it is what it is. But he says, a lot of people think that you can't enjoy a bourbon and be religious in some way. And I'm like, it's like anything else. It's like saying, well, you can't, what if you're like me? What if you're overweight and you enjoy food too much? Can you not be a good Christian? It's like anything else. It's in moderation and balance. If you're enjoying a pour and you're responsible and you're in your own home and you're taking care of the things you need to take care of and you're not doing something crazy on the roads, who's to say that you're not allowed to have that fellowship time and that joy? I can't tell you how many conversations we've had about God, just about, we started off with bourbon. So, it's, like I said, it's a nice facilitator, but, always that, faith, family, work, then fun. My bourbon is my fun. It truly is. It's my fun. But it brings me to an extended family group as well, my immediate family, and then people that I've met like yourselves. So I know I was long-winded. Fantastic weekend. I can't wait to get to 2,000 members, because I can't wait to get some of these bourbons in your hands. I think it's amazing how much you guys have contributed, paying it forward to somebody else. So thank you very much for that. Man, looking forward to a lot of good things. I hope you caught that key phrase somewhere in there for the next giveaway. I always like to do stuff like that. It just makes for fun. But you know what? It's Sunday morning. Some of us luckily I'm not. I may be working today. If you are working today, I pray your work day goes by fast. I hope you're successful in everything you do. When you have that off time today, I hope you just slow it down a little bit, man. It's beautiful weather out here. Going to go out for a little bit, go for a walk the dog, whatever. Have a nice meal, have a nice pour, spend some good time with family. My son's been getting into like the Madden football, so I've been playing with him a little bit. So that's always fun and cool. New areas there to spend time together. But most importantly, all, cheers and God bless. You all have an amazing day. Thank you.